All right, everybody, we're going to get right into it. We're not going to waste any time. You guys already know this brother, very thorough with his information. If you pay attention, you'll also learn a lot as far as how to research. You'll learn the things like how to pick up on when you watch interviews, pay attention to the interviews, and he'll explain it. I don't want to give that one away, but early in the game, early in this video, he'll explain. You'll hear him talk about how when people say things, I'll just keep it like that. And yeah, so you will learn a lot from this brother. Today we got Rizza Islam. This is part one. The exposing of the ADL. All right. Rizza Islam, the exposing of the ADL. This is special report. Let's go.
We are live. Come on in. You know what city, what state, what country you are checking in from. What city, what state, what country you are checking in from. We are live on Instagram as well as YouTube. Come on in. Come on in. Let us know what city, what state, what country you are checking in from. If you don't mind, family, please share this live. Share this live out. If you are on Instagram, go ahead and click the small paper airplane symbol here and press send to about 5 people. If you are on Instagram, if you are on YouTube, feel free to text this link out to, I would say, 5 people at minimum, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, that would truly help. We are going to go into something here in the chat on YouTube. Let everyone know what city, what state, what country you are checking in from. Let everyone know what city, what state, what country you are checking in from. We're going to go into the response to Mr. Jonathan Greenblatt, who was interviewed on The Breakfast Club. Shout out to The Breakfast Club for this interview. Why am I saying that? Number one, it was good to see the representative from the ADL speak on his own, where he was speaking thoroughly, but he was speaking on a platform where we could hear all of his statements for ourselves. It was very good for us to hear from the mind of the CEO of the very organization that is horrendously and consistently and incessantly attacking Black people and demonstrating its overt and covert anti-Black racism on a consistent basis, while at the same time saying that it is standing against hatred, against defamation. But that only seems to be the case when the person is a part of the J community and not any other community. We are going to go point by point for those who have come into the room. This is not an attack on Jewish people, not even close. This is not an attack on Black folks, obviously not. This is not an attack on anyone's religion. This is not an attack on anyone's personal belief. This is an attack on ignorance. This is a clarification of facts. This is a response to the statements that were made. And when I say statements that were made, let me give you an example. I have over 100 points to respond to in a time-stamped order, because I watched the full 1-hour interview and I put the timestamps in order. Every timestamp, if you can see all of these, we're going to go in order of each timestamp, each point that was brought up, if you don't mind. And we're going to do this with facts. Some of the references that we're going to use, as a matter of fact, I'm not going to go into all the references because some of you might try to tell on me right now. I'm going to bring up the references in the order of the response to the points that were brought up. And I'm going to come out of different books. I'm going to go into historical references. I'm going to go into all these different points that demonstrate that what was being stated was not correct, was not accurate, was not genuine in some of the different statements, some of the things. Somebody said, no, not 100 plus. No, we will be cooking tonight. We will be cooking tonight. Let me say this. We as a people are very angry. We are not happy with the attacks that we have received on the part of white people, on the part of specifically Jewish people, on the part of anybody. We as Black people are not happy with Black people attacking each other. Y'all let me know if you're happy about that, because I'm not happy about that. We are not happy with the slander, with the defamation, with the attacks, with the consistent injustices that have been brought upon our people, while at the same time, groups, organizations, cultures, religious bodies, you name it, benefit off of our people, sucking the lifeblood of our people, benefiting off of us financially, benefiting off of us spiritually and mentally, benefiting off of us and all of our organizations, all of our businesses, our talents, our companies, you name it. They have benefited in so many ways. And all we want is to be treated fairly and be given a chance to exist and not be taken advantage of. That's pretty much all we want. We just want fairness. We want justice. We want equality. We want freedom. That's it. The problem is so many people continue to eat off of us. So you won't leave us the hell alone. And what you get in response is a frustration that has been built up over the years. And then when you finally get a clap back, which is the colloquial nomenclature for a response in a way that you may not like it, then we look like the enemy. We look like the devil. We look like the culprit, the wrong one, because we're responding to being mistreated. Because so many of you who mistreat us, you do it in a very cunning, conniving, slick, underhanded, secretive way, behind closed doors, through certain text messages, affecting our bank accounts, affecting the people around us, messing up job opportunities. You know what you do. It's very old of how y'all operate. So we're frustrated, but what we're going to do, should I say right now, how I'm going to respond, is only going to be on the intellectual level, if you don't mind. We're not going to get personal, although it is damn personal. We don't need to get personal. We're going to go on actual facts. So now that those of you who just came in, if you are at work, shout out to the truckers, shout out to those who do security and overnight, shout out to those of you working at the warehouse, shout out to those of you who are doing any job that is overnight to feed your family, take care of yourself, pay off those loans, do whatever it is you need to do. You are working hard. I appreciate those of you right now who are working. You already know what I'm talking about. I've been there. You know what it is. Keep grinding. Keep doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. For those of you who have school in the morning, I apologize. For those of you who have to get up for work in a couple hours, maybe this will give you some energy. Somebody said I'm on third shift. I know about that swing shift. For those of you who have to get up early and you are up watching me right now because you appreciate what I say and you value my take on things, I appreciate you as well. I sincerely do, and I pray that I make you proud in doing what needs to be done. So just want to give a shout out to everybody who's watching right now from wherever you are watching, because we are about to conduct surgery. We're going to go to the timestamp. First question before I go into this: have you watched the interview with Mr. Jonathan Greenblatt on the Breakfast Club that aired today and was recorded yesterday? Have you watched it? Let me know. Have any of you watched this interview? The interview didn't get that many views because it's not interesting to a lot of people. Just to be honest, for the Breakfast Club audience, it's not interesting. It's like, who is Jonathan Greenblatt? I'm giving him attention right now by even bringing up his name, but it's the organization that he is now the CEO over, that he has taken over, which the legacy of this organization is very wicked where our people are concerned. So it's more so the organization and its influence that I'm highlighting rather than him, right? So the vast majority of you have said no, absolutely. I know you didn't watch it. I know you didn't. I want to see if anybody did. But somebody said, I'm not going to watch it. I heard you. I heard you. So let me mention here. We're going to go to the timestamps. And we're going to go point by point. If you get bored, hey, I get you. But this is my job, doing the research, giving you all the report, and fact-checking the situation. The main reason why I'm going to go over these timestamps right now is because the interview that was conducted was with someone by the name of Jonathan Greenblatt, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League. What is the Anti-Defamation League? The Anti-Defamation League was an organization founded to expose, track, trace, and stop the attacks against Jewish people. Then later on, they added in there to stop hate. No. The very pure core of what the ADL is to protect Jewish people. And I'm not mad at you. That's beautiful. Every group of people should have their own defense. Do y'all agree? I absolutely believe every single group deserves to have its own defense. Absolutely. That's intelligence. So I'm not mad at the ADL for being a defense organization for the Jewish people. You should, but we should too. I personally believe the Nation of Islam is that group. Some of you may disagree, but we should have multiple. Since we have so many different labels that we go by as a people, fine. Then let's come up with as many different groups that defend us as possible. All right. So first point that was brought up, at 1 minute and 50 seconds, and I'm going to sound like a computer because I'm going to go on the exact time that these things are mentioned so that you can go and watch it. If you don't want to watch the whole interview, you can just watch and make certain statements at these times that I'm going to point out. At 1 minute and 50 seconds, for those of you just coming in, we are talking about the interview on the Breakfast Club with Mr. Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO of the Anti-Defamation League. At 1 minute and 50 seconds, the question was, what is the ADL? What is the Anti-Defamation League? His response, Mr. Greenblatt said, well, Leo, he didn't say the name. He said the ADL is the oldest anti-hate organization in America. I beg to differ, Mr. Greenblatt, but let's just start off with the ADL. He said it was established and started because of a Jewish man that was lynched. A Jewish man was lynched in America in 1913. And that sparked this circumstance where we have to defend ourselves. Now, again, I'm completely with, he was lynched in 1915. Pardon me. He was lynched in 1915. 1915, he was lynched. But the case started in 1913. The case started in 1913. First point, Mr. Greenblatt, you did not bring up the name of the person. Point number one. This is how I want us all to understand when it comes to research. Look at what they do not say. Point number one. Point number two, he said the ADL was established because a Jewish man was lynched. No. The ADL was established to try to say that a Jewish man was innocent after having been convicted, found guilty of raping and murdering a Caucasian Christian girl. That's the reason why Mr. Leo Frank, whose name he did not mention, the man he's talking about is Leo Frank. Everyone type into the chat, please. Leo Frank. This is why we don't play these games. We're going surgical on this. We're going to go to the root of a thing. So point number one you left out was the name of the person. The reason why he left the name out, or should I say, I believe the reason why he left the name Leo Frank out is because people would then go and look up the name Leo Frank. And they would look up the fact that, oh, this was a white man, Jewish, who raped a white girl, who was a Christian white girl at the time, which also goes into the Jewish, Christian, white Christian, Jewish relations in America back then, because they had their own issues, right? And they didn't like that. She worked at the company at the company that he was over, which I believe was a pencil making company. And he tried to blame it on a black man. This is the foundation of the ADL. So we're going to start here. Point number one that you brought up, Mr. Greenblatt. Leo Frank is the Jewish man who you all stood up and were protesting and saying, this is wrong. You have the wrong man, the wrong man. No, Leo Frank was found guilty. He raped a white girl. I'm harping on this point so that y'all can understand what the purpose of the ADLs being started in the first place was. Raped a little white girl. The people didn't like it. The evidence pointed to Leo Frank. He was found guilty. He was trying to say it was a black man that did it. I believe the janitor. He did it. He did it because at that time, all you needed was the word of a white man over the word of a black man, and it will be believed. Correct? This is in the early 1900s, 1910, 1911, 12, 13, 14. All you needed was the word of a white man, and it will be believed. And what did they do? Just as Carolyn Bryant Dunham, the Caucasian woman who lied on Emmett Till and said that he tried to rape me. And then over 50 years later, the same Caucasian woman admitted that she lied, and she is still alive today. But Emmett Till was murdered horrifically because of a lie that that Caucasian woman gave. And the same thing with Leo Frank, who tried to lie on a black man so that he would get off for being found guilty of raping and murdering a white girl. Now, let's go ahead and move forward. Just to give a little context, documentation, reason, where are the documents? What should we read? This is the third installment to the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. This is the third installment. There is book 1 that everyone should get. There is book 2 that everyone should get. And there is book 3, which is the very foundation itself when it comes to the American relationship of the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. This book talks about the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, the Leo Frank case, the lynching of a guilty man. Rizza, what do you mean lynching? Is that figurative? You're talking about how they lynched him, is, you know, his character in the media? No. Leo Frank was found guilty. Let me read what it says on the back here. This is on the back of the book. Everyone should get this book. All 3. The secret relationship between blacks and Jews. Type that in the chat. Books 1, 2, and 3. The secret relationship between blacks and Jews. Book 1, 2, and 3. Put that in the chat really quick if you don't mind. And for those who are in here, make sure you go to RizzaIslam.com and purchase your Natural Immunity Wins shirts, hoodies, etc. while you're in here, and also subscribe to the website. Here's a description in the back of the book. The Leo Frank case has been called the greatest unsolved American murder mystery of all time. Now, here's another thing I'm going to mention while I'm going down these points that Mr. Greenblatt brought up. We are black folk, so we take pride in being who we are. Everybody else takes pride in who they are. They're supposed to. If you're white, take pride in being white. Just don't take pride in being white to the degradation or the destruction of everybody else who's not white. If you are whatever other nationality that you claim, be proud of that. That's fine. But when you are speaking of facts in history, don't take pride in lying and placing the life of your people above the lives of everybody else when your people have subjugated the lives of so many others. The way Jonathan Greenblatt was talking, as many members, as you will mention, and pardon me, as you will learn, as I've witnessed in person talking to them, many members of the Jewish community speak of Jewish lives, not just being important because they are, but being more important in quantity. If 100 black folks are murdered, but one Jewish person is punched, they will put more focus and energy on that, and that energy will be the same, if not more, than what energy we put on 100 of our people being murdered. Just to give you an understanding of context, not every Jewish person does that. However, many of the ones that I have talked to, how they talk about those lives, etc., when we're talking about something that is far more horrific, but they'll talk about something very small sometimes, and it will completely minimize the horror that we are dealing with. And this is how Jonathan Greenblatt was talking. I just wanted to kind of give you that because that is going to go into almost every single response, because so many of the things that this man said, it's not that I couldn't believe it. I know why you didn't get any pushback on the Breakfast Club. So yes, needless to say, sure, I'm disappointed in Charlamagne, DJ, and being Angela Yee, but at the same time, I don't expect them to respond because they don't have the actual facts to respond with. And also there are other things. They're getting paid by these people. Their company is, connected. So you can't necessarily bite that hand to that degree because it's a company thing. So I get it. Do I agree with it? No, but I get it. So I'm not even mad at it. Here's a description at the back of the book. The Leo Frank case has been called the greatest unsolved American murder mystery of all time. John F. Kennedy. Pardon me. Yeah, JFK. Malcolm X. There's so many more, but the greatest unsolved American murder mystery of all time. Okay. Again, remind you, this is so, yes, we are. Okay. In 1913, a Jewish B'nai B'rith leader was convicted of the brutal rape and murder of a white Christian girl. He was lynched for the crime. And for over a century, Jews have insisted that Leo Frank was innocent and that a black man was the real killer. They say that Frank's case is the worst incident of anti-Semitism in American history. This highly acclaimed book solves the case and proves that Frank was guilty of the murder and that there was no anti-Semitism at all. The false charge of black anti-Semitism used to manipulate and control political debate began with the Leo Frank case. This book by the Nation of Islam's researchers has become the acknowledged standard in the examination of this profoundly influential case. It is 536 pages, 1,227 footnotes, illustrations, maps, and photos showing how Jews turned a cold-blooded murderer into an icon of Jewish suffering. Let me say this real quick. Mr. Greenblatt, why did you not tell the Breakfast Club why Mr. Leo Frank was lynched? Why didn't you tell the Breakfast Club that Leo Frank raped a white girl? Why didn't you tell the Breakfast Club that Leo Frank was a Jewish man raping a white girl who worked at his company, and that when he was found guilty, not just an innocent man like the majority of our people that have been in that circumstance who were lynched, like all of our people who were lynched. You're trying to equate it the same. No, that's called deception. That's called being forked-tongued. That's called using deceptive intelligence. Why did you tell him that Leo Frank was found guilty because of evidence? Why did you tell him that Leo Frank tried to blame it on a black man because he knew the chances of him getting off by blaming it on a black man would be very high? Why didn't you tell them that Leo Frank was not only found guilty, tried to blame it on a black man, and that he went to jail? Not only did he go to jail, but the white folks who did not like what he did went to the jail, broke him out of the jail, and then brought him to the city where the girl was from and then lynched him in that city. Not black folk, white folk. Why didn't you tell the Breakfast Club that your martyr, your inspiration, your Jewish hero did some very unethical, immoral, disgusting, deplorable things that goes against the tenets of Judaism? Why did you not do that? Why didn't you say exactly what it was? Oh, because you couldn't use that. But that's the foundation of your organization. Again, Jewish people deserve to be defended if they get attacked. Absolutely agree. You founded the organization off of a rapist and then try to make it seem like he's innocent? Stop it. Because if that's the case, then you might want to go on to this whole thing of black people saying, hey, well, R. Kelly's innocent and everybody like that is innocent. Do you want to go there? Because that's kind of what it sounds like right now. You guys are You got to stop. You got to stop. If our people are wrong, we need to call them out. If your people are wrong, you get a whole organization created out of it. That's not okay. All right. Next point. And I'm not going to harp on these too long. I'm going to go right through these because there's so many points. At 3 minutes and 50 seconds, Mr. Greenblatt, you said the purpose of the ADL is to protect our community, to track anti-Semitic incidents, and to monitor extremists. You stated that last year, over 1,500 pieces of intelligence or information was given to the FBI by the ADL. Mr. Greenblatt, wow. What's interesting to me is, while you were carrying on about all of these things, saying that you work with the FBI, why didn't you tell the Breakfast Club that not only do you currently work with the FBI, but that it was the ADL primarily who was working with the FBI as it pertains to the spying on every Black leader that we have had in America? Mr. Greenblatt, why did you not tell the Breakfast Club that in 1942, the ADL, which of course you were not born at that time, but your organization, the ADL, led the FBI to arrest the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and over 80 other Black men? Why did you not tell them, Mr. Greenblatt, that it is you and the ADL that has worked with the FBI to track the Panthers, to go off when it comes to the Black Hebrew Israelites, as it pertains to Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, as it pertains to specific members of the Black Panther Party, especially Fred Hampton, who was murdered at the age of 21? Why is it that you did not tell them that you work with the FBI and that the ADL has been instrumental in the literal dismantling, destruction of Martin Luther King, of Malcolm X? The ADL has been tracking. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has helped to set up the divisions within Black organizations. The ADL has helped to cause a rift and division between Black leadership all throughout this country. And you have even helped when it comes to infiltrating these organizations. Why is it that you did not tell the Breakfast Club this, Mr. Greenblatt? I just wanted to bring up the fact that you said something, but you didn't say the something you should have said. It's called omission. It's called omission, is my point. It is called omission, a crime of omission. So let's go to the next point, because that's actually fairly easy. But the ADL, historically, from its inception up to the present, has been a FBI aid and spy organization on the Black community, and particularly the Black intelligentsia, the intellects within the Black community, to help in making sure that our people do not rise to a particular level of control and influence. The ADL has not been a friend of Black people. If anything, you have helped our enemies, and parts of your organization has itself completely been an enemy to our people. So let's continue. So again, the ADL works with the FBI. So anytime you hear them talk about, we need to have this Black artist, Kyrie Irving, Kanye West, which I'm going to get to because he mentioned their names, they need to meet with us. Why would we meet with the FBI? Because that's who we're meeting with when we meet the ADL. What are you talking about? Why am I going to go and sit down and meet with the FBI? I've had the FBI show up and meet with me multiple times. They meet with different people, but why are we going to go and sit down with, for what? I mean, what is that going to do? What is that? What are you talking about? The ADL, FBI, they shake hands. according to the words of Mr. Greenblatt himself. Let's continue. These are his own words that I'm bringing up point by point in time stamp frame when he mentioned these things on the Breakfast Club interview that aired today. At 5 minutes, he said the ADL lobbies, funds, and even works on affecting the money of people who they feel spread hate. Wait a minute, Mr. Greenblatt. So you mean to tell me you and the ADL or partial Jewish community, you have influence over money, which is banking, which is proof when it comes to Kanye West having over $100 million being frozen and removed or told to be removed from JP Morgan Chase. You mean to tell me, did you just validate the fact that Jewish members in the Jewish community have some control and influence over banking? Is that what you said? Because you did say literally that you lobby, which means you go and meet with congressional members now. So the ADL has that much kind of influence where you go in and meet them with congressmen and women. You're meeting with House of Representatives and senators. And you also affect the money of people who you feel spread hate. So you literally now are admitting that members of the Jewish community do control and have influence when it comes to banking. Okay, we already knew this. We're not anti-Semitic. You're saying it yourself. You're the Semitic person, right? You're so-called the Semitic one. Fine. You said that. Okay, good. So glad to know that the ADL has influence and control over banking. At 5 minutes and 20 seconds, Mr. Greenblatt says the ADL reaches 3 to 4 million children in schools every year with different anti-hate programs, he said, and where we're educating children on the different forms of hate or different things when it comes to communicating and learning about each other. Okay, we know what this is, and that may be true, but let's look at what's underneath that, for example. Sure, you may be going in and telling children it's wrong to hate children. And then what will you do? You will say, for example, Jewish people have been under attack since blah, blah, blah. What that is, it's called indoctrinating. That's not just reaching 3 to 4 million children. No. That is called indoctrination. And you're indoctrinating 3 to 4 million children a year. You're not just educating them against hatred. Stop doing that. That's called double talk. That's called a crime of omission, which means you're not saying things that should be inside of that statement that you're making, which makes it a full contextual statement, a full statement in context. That's not okay, Mr. Greenblatt, because you're not going into these locations educating them about the horrors affecting Black people. You're not educating them about the horrors affecting Mexicans. You're not educating them about the horrors affecting natives on reservations. You're not harping on that. You may mention it for about 2 seconds, and then you'll give the other 2 hours to the Jewish dedication, like you did on the Breakfast Club. So let's continue. Next point. I'm just going down this. And for those of you who are watching, thank you for watching. Again, go to RizzaIslam.com. Make sure you subscribe and also get anything that you feel may help you when it comes to the products that we have on the website. At 6 minutes and 30 seconds, this is going to be interesting to y'all. The Jewish stereotypes is what they start to address when it comes to 6 minutes and 30 seconds. The Jewish stereotypes. Jews run Hollywood. Jews control banking. You know, there is a Jewish group that is running a number of different things when it comes to controlling athletes and controlling sports and controlling music and film and fashion, right? They were going over the Jewish, what they call tropes or stereotypes. Okay, well, let's see. After that, at 7 minutes, Charlemagne and Greenblatt talk about how they've been talking for years and that we should call people in before we call them out at 7 minutes and 15 seconds. So let me go ahead and put all that together. Number one, Mr. Greenblatt. Stereotypes only gain power when you literally validate them by doing the very thing the person said you would do if you had the ability to do it. I'm going to say that again. Stereotypes only gain power if the very thing that you do, or the very thing that is said that you can do, you do it when the people say that this is what you're going to do. If I say, for some reason, it looks like members of the Jewish community have a lot of influence over banking, and then you take down someone's bank account with hundreds of millions of dollars in it, you're not helping the case. If I say Jews run Hollywood, and then you prevent me from getting any more auditions, you stop me from having my career grow, even though I'm one of the greatest actors and I've been in tons of films and I'm on the A list of actors in Hollywood, but now my career has been stifled. I've been blackballed. You're only validating that point. This is the basics in intelligence that you think we don't have. Now, here's the sad part about this. It's very insulting, but let me, again, all of these things are very basic points. So they are not stereotypes. They're facts that you don't like to be heard because you don't like people exposing who you really are. And the sad thing is, if more Jewish people came out and spoke out against the ADL, or I guess you would call the bad Jewish people, if more good Jewish people will come out and speak against the bad Jewish people and call them out for doing what they're doing, then we will be able to identify the separation. Like, oh, hey, thank y'all. Kind of like saying, why don't the good police come out and speak out against the bad police? You make it difficult for people to trust the entire apparatus, your entire group, if none of you come out from behind the door and address the wrong things that certain members of your group are doing. If you don't do that, then we have no choice but to look at the fact that, damn, all of you are, in the colloquial nomenclature, or the way we describe it in our terminology, is you're on code. You're in lockstep with each other. You're not breaking ranks. You are being company people. You are not going against the dominant agreement of the group. You're not violating company policy. You're staying right there with them by your, what is it that you constantly say? By your silence. Hatred is spreading because of your silence. That's what's happening. Too many Jewish people are not speaking up against the evils that certain members of the Jewish community are committing against Black and all others. Okay, let's continue. Another thing. At 7 minutes and 15 seconds, Mr. Greenblatt, you said we should call people in before we call them out. You have not met with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan nor the Nation of Islam. What are you talking about? You refuse to meet with members of the Hebrew Israelites. What are you talking about? You throw your stone and you call everybody in the Nation of Islam anti-Semitic, horrible people, blah, 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 blah. But you refuse to meet with us. But you said, I don't believe in canceling people. I believe we should call people in before we call people out. And you did it with this very psychologically, very well-trained veil of sincerity. And I'm not being disrespectful. We know you because what you said wasn't sincere. I don't believe in that. We should call people in before we call them out. We have been asking to have a meeting with you, to dialogue. Specifically, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been calling for a dialogue between the Jewish community and the Nation of Islam for over 40 years. And then that call for a conversation, which, by the way, many high-ranking rabbis and members of the Jewish community have met with Minister Farrakhan on multiple occasions at his home, or he has gone and met with them in their home, etc., etc. But you all have not come out and publicly, in a symposium-like setting, where members of the Jewish community and the high-ranking rabbis or the 12 ranking rabbi organizations on your side have met with us on our side, where we can actually cross-reference and have a dialogue in front of the world publicly. See, the problem is you do things in the shadows, in the dark, but then you attack us in the light, in the public. That's the problem. It is very, very disingenuous to get on the Breakfast Club and say, we call people in before we call people out. No, you attack people. You don't just call people out and not call them in. You just attack people for an opinion, for making a statement or a question, or even just mentioning, just saying the term Jew. And, okay, listen, you got to knock it off. Knock it off. Mr. Greenblatt, you were not genuine, sir. Not with that statement. Let's see if there are any others that you were not genuine about. But you definitely attack people, the ADL. You do not call people in. You attack people. At 8 minutes, he said, or you said, Mr. Greenblatt, on the Breakfast Club interview, we protect Jewish people at the core. Thank you. Just speak straight words, player. Because if I were sitting right there, you would have no choice. If the minister was sitting right there, well, of course, then I would be honored to even be in the building, because I would just be sitting down listening. And the crazy thing is, we wouldn't be attacking anybody having, a conversation with the Jewish people. We don't do that. I know, only 8 minutes in, right? It's crazy. But that's not how we operate. See, that's the other sick way that you picture us, right? Black people, we're just thugs. We're just some thuggish people trying to attack it. Knock it off. Just admit that you don't want to sit down and have a conversation with us, because we're going to unravel all of the lies that you have been perpetrating onto the masses of the people. Just speak the truth. And let's come to an agreement. So you protect Jewish people. Thank you. At the core of the ADL, what you said is to protect Jewish people. Yes, that's not just the core. That's about 99.999% of what it is. And then you do other things to make it look like the ADL is for other members of the human family. It's not. And it is okay. It's like saying the Black Defense League. What is it? What am I saying? I'm telling you who I'm defending. Yes. This is not an equal opportunity type of thing. Everybody's included. No, you deserve to have your own organizations that defend you. Everyone deserves that. Stop apologizing for this. Period. I'm a black man. That's it. Simple. I do what is done for my people first, and then for other people. But my people come first. Your people should come first. I agree, but not to the degradation of mine. I'm not ever thinking what I can do to harm a Jewish person. Ain't nobody, I guarantee you, there's no hood you go to, nowhere, where black people are trying to come up with a way to beat up Jewish people. We don't think like that. That's some goofy, you're weird. There's something wrong. Like, none of us are thinking like this at all. Y'all got this sick thing where you think people are trying to attack you. No, somebody might be trying to attack you, but not black folks as a whole. Sorry, we are more busy trying not to be attacked by our own people, number one. And then your people, white, Jewish, whatever you want to call it, you're considered white to us. It doesn't matter what you call it. You're white. Like, that's what y'all got to get through your head. You're considered white. So our main focus is on our own communities, us not killing each other, doing each other wrong, and then racist police officers, and then other white folks under whatever label you want to call yourself, including Jewish. So I just wanted to kind of lay that out there. At 8 minutes and 25 seconds, let me run through these. At 8 minutes and 25 seconds. And by the way, yes, I know the color code system, color cast system, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, Carl von Linnaeus, all that bull crap. You're considered white. I just want to make that very clear. Any smart black people in here trying to go into Rizza where you're not black, they're not white. Okay, you can kill it, you can end it. The reality is, in the real world, white folks, black folks, that's how people talk. Period. Period. That's what we're talking about. So let's end the nonsense. A white police officer comes to you, you're not like, you're an Italian police officer. You're not doing that. That's a white man. That's what you're going to say. That's a white man. Just like they're not going to say, oh, shoot, I'm going to shoot a Hebrew Israelite. No, I think it's a 5%. No, I think it's a Moor. I'm going to shoot the Nation of Islam. No, I think no, it's a black dude. I'm about to shoot a black man. Black male, 6'2", shots fired. Stop it. The moment we get through that crap, we will in a more fast, quick way, we'll be able to come together and be a little more intelligent. They are on the same page. We need to get on the same page. Okay. At 8 minutes, one of my favorites, at 8 minutes and 25 seconds, anti-Semitism, he said, is an insane conspiracy theory. Anti-Semitism is an insane conspiracy theory. Okay, Mr. Greenblatt. Black people are intelligent. I know a lot of people on the other side who are white. You may not be used to us displaying our intelligence because on so many of your platforms, a lot of our people have gone kind of crazy with the stuff that's not too smart, that may not represent our higher level of thinking and intelligence. We're quite intelligent. Dangerously to your lives. We're very intelligent. So let me say this to you, Mr. Greenblatt. Anti-Semitism is a insane conspiracy theory. Okay. No, it's not. Most black folks don't even know what anti-Semitism means. Let's say it one more time. Most black people don't even know what the term means. And guess what? You don't even know what it means because you couldn't explain exactly what it meant on the Breakfast Club interview. It is a label that you create, which basically stands for anybody who you dislike. The term anti-Semitism now, and anti-Semitic, is a label that is used so loosely that all it means is anybody that the Jewish community doesn't like. You're anti-Semitic. That's all it means. There's no logic in it. It is the most overused term next to the word Negro, next to nigga. It holds no weight in the black community. We do not honor that, although a portion of it is real, meaning, are there some people who hate Jewish people? Yes. The majority of them happen to be white folks of a different tribe. I'll say it that way. The Italians, the Scots, the Germans. Okay, so it's your white cousins. But there are no black people in huge groups who hate and want to get rid of you. That does not exist. I'm sorry to tell you that. Sorry to tell you this. So, conspiracy theory, no, it's a conspiracy. Conspiracy, meaning there are groups and organizations coming together to use that label to weaponize it to attack anybody that you don't like. He's anti-Semitic. Rizza's anti-Semitic. I have not put my hands on no Jewish person ever. Never talked about doing it. Never encouraged anybody to do it. Never. You hate Minister Farrakhan so much, but not one member of the Nation of Islam has ever physically harmed one member of the Jewish community. So what the hell are y'all talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? No, like, okay, what's your evidence, bro? What are you talking about? We got records of Jewish people calling for the death of Minister Farrakhan, chanting outside of different events. We hate Farrakhan. Who do we want? Farrakhan. How do we want him? Dead. Hold up, yo. Jewish folk. Y'all remember that? That's when Khalid Muhammad came outside and ran those Jewish dudes calling for Minister Farrakhan's death, ran them away. Don't get this twisted. Let's continue. 8 minutes and 45 seconds. Mr. Greenblatt, you said that anti-Semitism is the oldest form of hatred there is. Oh my gosh, you are so pregnantly arrogant. pregnantly arrogant. The hatred of Jewish people is the oldest form of hatred there is in the world. You said it goes back thousands of years. Mr. Greenblatt. See, what you do is you just discount everybody else and what everybody else goes through. It's the oldest hatred. Cut it out. He said that. Some of y'all are not going to believe some of the stuff I bring up. Y'all going to be like, he didn't say that. Okay, at 8 minutes and 45 seconds on the Breakfast Club interview, Mr. Greenblatt said that anti-Semitism is the oldest form of hatred there. Mr. Greenblatt, Moses wasn't Jewish. Judaism didn't come into existence until after Moses. Till after. He didn't come into Judaism. Judaism came into existence after Moses. And there were different forms of spiritual systems before Judaism, where people were hating each other. The consistent hatred has absolutely been white versus everyone else in whatever area that you want to call it, whatever geographical positioning place, whatever culture you want to call it. That is a lie. Book reference really quick when it comes to understanding different levels of spirituality outside of the classic three monotheistic religions: Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Spirituality Before Religions, one of the books. Spirituality is Unseen Science. Science is Seen Spirituality, by our brother, Professor Dr. Kaba Khamenei. Kaba Hiawatha Khamenei, a good brother. Love our brother, one of our great scholars. Good brother. Love our brother. He's one of the greatest teachers who loves the minister, loves the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, loves all the work. That's just one of the references that I'll mention. I'll also mention another book here. I almost forgot, I had it. The Book of God by True Islam, aka Dr. Wesley Muhammad. The Book of God by Dr. Wesley Muhammad, aka True Islam. The Book of God by True Islam, aka Dr. Wesley Muhammad. And this book goes over the Black presence and representation in many of the areas of spirituality, many of the so-called religions, many of the different spiritual systems, and the presence of God being Black, and the different representations that they worshiped, the physical forms of what they considered to be God or their deity, and how virtually every single time God is Black. Virtually every single time. Critical. These are just references when it comes to looking at spiritual systems thousands of years ago and prior till. Anti-Semitism is not the oldest form of hatred, Mr. Greenblatt. Again, when you're trying to cap, I said we just cap. Stop it. Stop. Just say you're protecting Jewish people. That's cool. You don't need to exaggerate, because that was a heavy exaggeration. Lord have mercy. Woo. At 9 minutes and 27 seconds, we're getting there. We're getting there. At 9 minutes and 27 seconds, he said, Jews are always blamed, but they're not doing anything wrong. The Jews are not the ones doing these things. He said it's the heavy left. It's those people on that side of the political spectrum that are doing these things. It's not Jewish people. Jewish people have never done anything wrong. Mr. Greenblatt, which I believe is a Yiddish name, which means green leaf in Yiddish. Mr. Greenblatt. Word. Really? Okay. Let's just start off with a few points. The creation of the NAACP with Mr. Spingarn. Jews partially helped to found and create the NAACP. Not because you so cared about Black people and our advancing, but because you wanted to recruit the intelligent ones among our people to monitor us so that we would not progress to the level that we would have if you had not had your hand and intervened in our affairs. And that is the fact. That is the fact. Stop it. Almost every organization that the Jewish community helped to create when it comes to Black people has not been a Black organization to push and promote Black people to become the greatest and the best in our fields and to become justified and free and equal in society. It has not been. It has been, you can go up to the highest level that you can go under us. That is the fact. Stop playing. Mr. Greenblatt. Jews did plenty of things wrong. Members of the Jewish community have done plenty of things wrong. And the reason why I don't want to go down every, Lord have mercy, this again, there are so many. The creation of the ADL and what you've done with the ADL, you've attacked and labeled virtually every Black leader that we have ever had as anti-Semitic. So I'll start there. Noah Drew Ali has been given the label of anti-Semitic. Marcus Garvey was called anti-Semitic. Martin Luther King, anti-Semitic. Malcolm X, anti-Semitic. Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, anti-Semitic. Elijah Muhammad, anti-Semitic. Khalid Muhammad, anti-Semitic. The Black Panthers, anti-Semitic. Everybody, anti-Semitic. Michael Jackson, anti-Semitic. Barack Obama, anti-Semitic. Barack Obama's longtime reverend, the man who he went to church and listened to, Reverend Jeremiah Wright, anti-Semitic. Dave Chappelle, anti-Semitic. Kanye West, anti-Semitic. Kyrie, anti-Semitic. Anybody who stood with Minister Farrakhan, anti-Semitic. By proxy, by just associating with him, anti-Semitic. Rizza Islam, anti-Semitic. Air, anti-Semitic. He's anti-Semitic. He coughed too hard. It's an anti-Semitic cough. Get some water. Anti-Semitic coughing over here. And yes, I'm being sarcastic on that because we're sick of it. It's disgusting. Nick Cannon, anti-Semitic. Because he talked about Black people being the Semites in an interview with our brother, Professor Griff. And he brought up those who were in the Caucasus Mountains, meaning Caucasian people. And he brought up, yeah, Black folks are Semitic people, which, by the way, later in this interview, again, Mr. Greenblatt, you admitted. So we're going to get to that because now it's like, wait a minute. So you owe Kyrie, Kanye, well, we'll work on that. You owe Kyrie, you owe Dave Chappelle, Minister Farrakhan, you owe a lot of people an apology. Let me move on to this point. So there's a lot that y'all have done wrong. Jews in Hollywood. You mentioned that although saying that Jews own Hollywood or run or control Hollywood is anti-Semitic, Hollywood was partially founded by the Jews. Hold on. Wait a minute. If you're the founder, that means you are the one who it originated with, who the idea came from, and who it was established because of. You're the founder. Oh yeah, y'all can type in more names into the list of who they called anti-Semitic. The list is endless. Jesse Jackson, you called anti-Semitic. Al Sharpton, you called anti-Semitic. Everybody just hates Jewish people, huh? Get over yourself. I'm going to say this to you. And I will say it to you in person, to your face, with the most genuine certainty and with true love. I'll say it. Get over yourself. We are dealing with some of the most horrific things in this country. Partially, you know what? All right, damn it. The Jewish control of our Holocaust, partially. You were a part of the transatlantic slave trading of our people. You helped to sponsor the shackles and chains that went over and around Black people's ankles, wrists, and necks. You helped to sponsor the ships that brought a lot of our ancestors over here. You were the one selling us on the auction block. We got a nigga here. He's 5'5". He's good at carpentry. He has a strong back. He can work as long as you need him to work. We got a nigga wench here. Yeah, she's nice, supple breasts. Yeah, she don't give you no back talk. Yeah. You were the auctioneers. 75% of the Jews owned slaves in the South. That is a fact. These books are compilations from Jewish writers, Jewish authors, Jewish rabbis, Jewish historians. These are your own words. Jewish writers, Jewish historians, Jewish rabbis. These are from your words, your people. I could just stay there, that you have been a part of our Holocaust, but we were never a part of yours. You've done a lot wrong that you have not apologized for, that you have not made up for, that you have not repaired for, that you have not repented for, but that you continue to act as if you had no part in it and you dodge it all day long while calling us anti-Semitic when you have been one of the greatest groups of anti-Black people in your demonstration. But if we say something you don't like, we hate all Jewish people. It makes us sick. It's disgusting. You need to end it. Knock it off. Now, Mr. Greenblatt, knock it off. And this is why you don't have discussions and dialogues with us in public, because this is what you're going to get. And it won't even be this much fire. It won't. If you just sit down and have a conversation, but you don't want to hear this. Because rather than apologizing and using all of that money that y'all have and all the influence you have to make it right, you just keep dodging it as if you had nothing to do with it. You have zero accountability. It's evil, and we don't like it. Next point. I particularly am, I don't know about y'all. I like when white folks go back and forth with other white folks over truth. I like that. Finally. Yeah. What do I mean by that? At 10 minutes and 14 seconds, Mr. Greenblatt, you brought up the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Rizza, what is the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion? What is that book? The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion is a book written by Victor E. Marsden that they call one of the most anti-Semitic books in history. One of the most anti-Semitic books in history. Oh, this book is horrible. It is terrible. They call The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, books 1, 2, and 3. They also say that these books are anti-Semitic when it's from the words of Jewish rabbis, Jewish authors, Jewish historians. That's all these words are. The Nation of Islam just put it together. That's pretty much it. Put it together, chronicalized it, put the footnotes at the bottom, and said, hey, all these Jewish people that are saying what they're saying in these books, you call it anti-Semitic? Okay, but you're not calling any of the Jewish people who wrote all these words anti-Semitic. You have to call all of them anti-Semitic because it's your people. Respected Jewish people. Okay, anyway, let's continue. This is how much sense you're not making, Mr. Greenblatt. Let's continue. The Protocols of the Meetings of the Learned Elders of Zion. This book, for those of you who don't have this book, and I'm going to give you also another book that goes around that environment that goes in the same bucket for some of them. Behold a Pale Horse, written by another white man, Mr. William Cooper, who blew the whistle on a lot of what they do. This government hated William Cooper, for what he exposed, a lot of it. But let's read what the Protocols of the Meetings of the Learned Elders of Zion is about. Victor Emil Marsden was born in Salford, England in 1866, a journalist and translator best known for translating the most widespread English language version of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, published posthumously in 1923, meaning after he passed away. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion is what they say. This is them now. How you know that they meddling? Because this is not on the back description of the book. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion is an anti-Semitic hoax. But stop it. See, let people read what it actually says. See this? Dang, y'all can't even let us read what it says. You're trying to tell us what to think about the book, but you don't control any media. You don't control. Guys, Mr. Greenblatt. It was first published in Russia in 1903 translated into multiple languages and disseminated internationally in the early part of the 20th century, Henry Ford funded the printing of over 500,000 copies that were then distributed throughout the United States in the 1920s. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis publicized the text as though it were a valid document, kind of how your organization continues to put horrifically disgusting, mischaracterizing things about Black leaders, our Black leaders, every single couple years. Every one of our Black leaders, you talk about them horribly, you lie about us, you mischaracterize them, you say they were this, you say they were that. Stop it. Stop it. You both do that. Y'all do it too. But let's continue. After the Nazi Party came to power in 1933, it ordered the text to be studied in German classrooms. Okay, let's move past your indoctrination and let me just read what the book actually says at the back of it, guys. Come on now with this. Let's do this here because this is why. See, this is again, this guys. I just want to read to the people the back of the actual book. If you could stop not controlling the media that you don't control, can you? Okay, this is in real time, y'all. This is real time. So I don't have the book yet, but I will be getting a copy. Taken from the preface to the Protocols of Zion, the author of this translation of the famous protocols was himself a victim of the revolution. He had lived for many years in Russia and was married to a Russian lady. Among his other activities in Russia, he had been for more. Let me read why the book was written, and that's all I'm looking for. Okay, so clearly you guys have hidden this. Let me just go let people know. The book was written and stated that there is a secret group of Jewish people who are pushing to control the world and that their purpose is to take over every single system all over the world. That there is this effort of Jewish powers to control the world through banking and education, etc., etc. That's what the book's overall theme is. And so far, because you don't control the internet, there's no Jewish people controlling the internet at all. There's no Jewish people controlling media. Although the description of the book, it just so happens to say this is a anti-Semitic hoax. I wasn't reading a review. I was reading what the description of the book was on the internet. And it's like, geez, okay, guys, you didn't control anything like that at all, but you just so happened to control that. But you didn't, but you did. Now, let's continue to go to the next point. That book, he tried to attack and say that that book was terrible. It was just a bunch of theories and blah, 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 blah. He's white. Let me just say this. Mr. Victor E. Marsden is white. He was a white man. He wasn't black. He was a white man. Okay. A white man from England. So that's that book. Let me go to the next point here. Again, anything that's speaking the truth about anything that any Jewish person is doing is a conspiracy theory. But if anybody says anything that the Jewish community doesn't like or the ADL doesn't like, they're anti-Semitic off the bat, off the rip. Boom. Okay, see, you see the double standard here? You see how you're making no sense and why our community can't stand what you're saying, because it's literally making zero sense. Let's continue. Next point. At 10 minutes and 30 seconds, he said another stereotype is that Israel is controlling Congress. Well, wait a minute, Mr. Greenblatt. You might want to chill out. You just stepped into this position not too long ago. So if I were you, I really wouldn't try to take up for the Jewish state of Israel. I don't think you want that on your conscience. I don't think you want Palestinians being systemically murdered by Israeli soldiers on your conscience in the name of radical views of Judaism, saying that you're the chosen people and this is your homeland because you went in and invaded a place and you started killing these people off, and you have been killing them off since. In the Jewish state of Israel, you are helping to sterilize and inject birth control shots into Ethiopian Jewish women right now. Do you want this in your conscience? You systemically keep Ethiopian Jewish people out of different parts of Israel because you don't believe that they truly are Jews. But you're the only Jew, even though you converted in the 8th century. You're not the original Jew, but fine. That's another That's another response for another question because that was brought up. But let's continue. So Israel controlling Congress is not a conspiracy theory. What is, okay. Why is it that so many members of Congress have to stand with Israel in order to be admitted fully? And when I say admitted fully, I mean for their word to even be taken serious to a degree. That's what the climate, that's what the culture suggests. If you don't stand with Israel, your career is not too smooth in Congress. Rizza, how do you know this? Because my major was political science in college. I did not graduate on purpose. And I not only studied it, but I met with many congressmen and women. I went to the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C., and I looked at AIPAC. And like the American Israeli, wait a minute, AIPAC. Hold on, let me get the exact abbreviation correct here. AIPAC. Because I was like, wait, what is AIPAC? The American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Why is it that so many members of Congress and different politicians meet with and go to AIPAC? And that is looked at as a standard to determine whether or not they are fully trustworthy. Are y'all fully with it? You really down with this or not? Because if you're not down with Israel, you're not going to really get all the support you need in Congress. And that is well known. This is a well-known fact. So, Mr. Greenblatt, that's another point. For shame, sir. You're not being genuine. 11 minutes. Radicalized Asian Muslim. He brought up an Asian who attacked a synagogue in Texas and took hostages. Okay, that's legit. That's legit. And guess what, Mr. Greenblatt? We understand. We understand. I think we understand better than most. We understand. Interesting. Because right after that, you bring up the fact that these attacks are happening to Jewish people. And when we talk about attacks happening, see, this is what happens. I don't consider somebody disagreeing with me an attack. I don't consider somebody telling me they don't like me because I'm black an attack. I don't consider somebody saying, oh, I don't like you because you're in the Nation of Islam as an attack. I don't consider someone saying, oh, I don't like you because you're Muslim an attack. I don't consider anybody, I don't give a damn. An attack is not just verbal. An attack to you is verbal. An attack to us is every single thing that we continue to suffer from. And not only that, but you brought up the fact that synagogues are being attacked. So now every synagogue, what you said, Mr. Greenblatt, has an armed guard outside of it. Did you know that, Mr. Charlemagne? He said that, right? Again, trying to find some common ground. Mr. Greenblatt, the Nation of Islam has had guards, FOI, guarding the mosque since its inception over 80 years ago, because we are behind enemy lines from being victimized from your people and white radical, whatever you want to call them, racist white folks in America. We've been had security from the beginning. You're just now saying that there's armed guards now because we're attacked, because you don't have a history of being attacked in America on a consistent basis because of your religion, because of your skin color, because of your culture, because of anything. You don't have a long history, and I'm talking about in high numbers. Let's get this straight. One person here and there, an individual here and there, 2 people, 5 people here and there who are Jewish getting attacked. That's what that is. That's 1 here, that's 2 there, that's 5 here, that's 10 there. Those are legit attacks. It's wrong. And nobody should attack anybody because of their religion. That's wrong. However, let's look at it, not compare. Let's just look at it to see if we understand. Black people have been getting murdered, shot, raped, robbed, lynched, burned, horrifically destroyed, ripped apart by dogs, water hoses, diseases, by this government on a consistent basis every day up until a certain point where it slowed down a little bit. Nation of Islam has had security at the door. and all around the mosque for over 80 years. You just now are putting armed guards at the synagogues, which proves the point. You're not the main target in America. You haven't been, yet you keep saying the number one hatred in America and the world is anti-Semitism. No, it's not. No, it's not. Let's continue. At 13 minutes, you bring up the Black Hebrew Israelites. First off, let me say shalom to those who live the righteous tenets and to the righteous principles who refer to themselves as Hebrew Israelites. We know we're the Hebrews. Boom. Simple as that. But there are people in every group who do not properly represent and may go out here and do some crazy stuff. So let's get that straight. Every individual may not represent properly. Let's get that straight. However, you brought up the Black Hebrew Israelites and you said they're anti-Semitic. Let me let y'all know right now before I finish this thing, the one group he did not bring up that he should have brought up was the Nation of Islam. Because you already know we got the books on you. Full documents. And we have been the target of your hatred for years. But you brought up the Black Hebrew Israelites. No. Stop dancing around the real people. You didn't bring up Minister Farrakhan's name once. You didn't bring up the Nation of Islam once. Because you already know that's not smoke that you ever want, because you have been a horrific person. Talking about the ADL, the body of the ADL, when it comes to the Nation of Islam in particularly, and Black people generally. But you have been beating the Nation of Islam for years. Minister Farrakhan specifically. Then next to him, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, all of our leaders, you've been beating our people. But you knew better. That's why you didn't mention our name. You already knew. But you're going to get this work anyway. Now, let's continue. 1345, a very interesting point that you brought up at 13 minutes and 45 seconds that you should not have brought up because that wasn't too wise. You brought up Kanye West putting up a swastika. I need everyone to type into the chat here. Swastika. Please type into the chat the word swastika. Please type into the chat swastika. Here is a lesson in understanding when your enemy is trying to get you to dislike people because they dislike people. That's not proper. The swastika is another thing that white folks stole. So let me say this. Let me say this really quick. The swastika is a symbol that belongs to original melanated people on the planet thousands and thousands and thousands of years before white people even knew it was a thought. The swastika, to make it very plain for you, is a symbol that has been used by the Indians for thousands of years in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, everyone type in Sanskrit, S-A-N, Sanskrit, S-A-N-S-K-R-I-T. In Sanskrit, the word swastika means well-being. It means well-being. The swastika is a symbol that has been used by the Hindus, by the Buddhists, by the Jains for millennia. The swastika was snatched and stolen like almost everything that white people have taken. The swastika was taken around 1920 by the Nazis to be added to a part of their symbol, which is this. This is their symbol, right? That's their symbol that you've seen on the arms of Nazi soldiers and pictures and different things like that. This was their symbol. This is theirs, right? May I break this down really quick? In 1920, Adolf Hitler decided that the Nazi Party needed its own insignia and flag. For Hitler, the new flag had to be, quote, a symbol of our struggle, end quote, as well as, quote, highly effective as a poster, end quote. So on August the 7th, 1920, write the year 1920. Prior to 1920, the Nazis did not have this. They didn't have the swastika in there as that symbol prior to 1920. So again, white folks, you're stealing our stuff again. And they're making it something terrible when it was something good. Let's continue. 1920, type the date in, 1920. At the Salzburg Congress, this flag became the official emblem of the Nazi Party. In Mein Kampf, which is Adolf Hitler's diary, his book, Mein Kampf is German, Mein Kampf, which translates roughly to English as my struggle. In his book, Mein Kampf, Hitler described the Nazis' new flag as, quote, in red, we see the social idea of the movement. In white, the nationalistic idea. In the swastika, the mission of the struggle for the victory of the Aryan man. And by the same token, the victory of the idea, creative work, which is as, and such always has been and always will be anti-Semitic. Okay. Every color meant something different. The red meant something different, as he was saying that the red meant the social idea of the movement. The white was for the nationalistic idea of the movement, of the pure race, the Aryan race. And then the swastika for the push for victory, the mission of the struggle, the victory of the Aryan man. Another little piece here, just a little side note. The Aryans, who were looking up to a man by the name of Bishop Arius. Bishop Arius was a black man. Okay, Bishop Arius. He was one of the over 300 bishops that was present at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. Bishop Arius was a black man. He was... Okay, listen. Wait. Woo! Okay. Should have never gave you niggas books. I know. That's why you didn't let us read, because this is bad. It's bad. It's really bad. It's like really bad. Like really bad. Okay. If Hitler knew that Bishop Arius was a black man, he'd be rolling around in his grave. There was black folks, the Aryans. And they fled from the Council of Nicaea because they found out that Constantine was going to assassinate him. And so they fled. Him and his followers became known as the Aryans. It was black. Woo! Aryans. Black folk. Anyway, now, so that's a point of fact when it comes to this. So let me take it a little further, if y'all don't mind, when it comes to this whole swastika. Point number one, here are some pictures here of swastika, fine eating California fruit. There are some flyers there. That's a metal clip of a swastika that Coca-Cola used. That was back then when Coca-Cola, for 5 cents, you could buy a bottle of Coke for 5 cents back then. Coca-Cola company used it. I hope y'all see that. Boom, boom, boom. Let us take it a little further. For those of you who live in New York, let's go ahead and just drop that on you one time. For the one time, did you know that there is a swastika city in New York? Oh, you're going to wake up. You're going to wake up tonight. Somebody said, what? Somebody was sleeping on their pillow like this. What? Hell, hold on. What? Did you know there's a swastika city in New York? Did you know that they voted to keep the name Swastika New York back in 2020? They voted to keep the name because they said we are keeping the name in remembrance of the original definition, which is in Sanskrit, which is Hindu or Indian, which means good fortune. We're not doing this because of Hitler. Hey, they took it and they stole it. Did you know that there's a swastika city in Canada? Really? Mr. Greenblatt. Mr. Greenblatt. Word? So Kanye putting up the swastika. Now, context does matter here. I don't know what Kanye meant when he put up the swastika. Maybe he did understand the original purpose of the whole swastika, which has been used by melanated people all across the planet. Let's make this clear. All across the planet for thousands of years and had nothing to do with Hitler. So again, let's kill that noise. Let's kill that. All right, let's end that. It don't belong to the Nazis. It never did. They stole it. But when he put it up, I don't know what the intent was behind it. So I can't say, yes, it was because he understood the original definition in Sanskrit, meaning good fortune, and he did it because of the Hindus, and he did it because it was being used in Ethiopia and all over the world as a symbol of good fortune and good faith and peace. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I am educating on the fact that the symbol was stolen. It did have one of the greatest purposes behind it. And Rizza, go a little further, which is why there are cities named after it, which is why the Navajo tribe uses the swastika as one of its primary symbols within its tribe. Did you know that? I believe it wasn't until 1941 or 1942 that Phoenix, or Arizona generally, removed the symbols, the swastika, because of what was happening after World War II. But the Navajo tribe uses the swastika as one of its primary symbols and has been doing that long before Hitler. Did you know that? Type in Navajo tribe. Type in Navajo tribe. Okay. Let's continue. There's a swastika city in New York. There's a swastika city in Canada. Coca-Cola used to have the swastika on some of its materials when it was selling things. The Navajo tribe uses the swastika as one of its symbols. Can I go a little further? May I go a little further? Because I wanted to show you how many multiple cultures use the swastika. We'll mention some, but I first want to show you. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully you can see this. If you can't, yeah, there you go. On YouTube. I'm going to show you on Instagram right now, but on YouTube, do you see these? Do you see all these different nations, cultures that have used the swastika? All of them are older than the Nazis. Let's make that clear. Let's look at this. We are here on Instagram now. Look at these nations. Look at these nations. Look at these cultures that have been using the swastika symbol for hundreds, if not thousands of years, all over the world. And let me go ahead and read off some of them, if you don't mind. None of them had anything to do with Hitler. Again, he is a newcomer to the planet. So get this stigma off of it. Move him out the way. And let's go back to the history that we were not told. Let's go back to what actually happened. The Hindus have a type of swastika. In Ghana, there is a variation of a swirled type of swastika. The Jains have a form of swastika. 10,000 BC, they had swastikas in pairs of 4. In Ethiopia, the swastika is used. That's what the one is in Ethiopia in particularly. That's the one. Matter of fact, here, the Hindus and Ethiopians, this is how theirs looks. Those are both swastikas. Hindus and Ethiopians, swastikas. Boom. Hindus and Ethiopians, swastikas. Let's continue. In China, they have swastikas. The Aztecs have their version of the swastika. Armenians have their variations of the swastika. Would it shock you that even in the Jewish community, they have a version of a swastika? Right here. We're just educating. That's a swastika. That's a swastika in the Jewish community. And I don't know exactly which area of the Jewish community. In Tibet, that's the Tibetan swastika. That's the Tibetan swastika. In Finland, they have one that goes in 4 directions. The Celtic swastika, the Greek swastika, in Bali, their version of the swastika, that's in Bali. That's in Bali, their version of the swastika. Let's see, almost done. In Asia, the swastika. Christians, some older Christians, and especially Ethiopian Christians too. Let's make that clear. That's the version of the swastika for them. That's the version of the swastika for them. Ninjas, even the swastika that they have. In Japan, that is their version of the swastika. A lot of these, I've seen a lot of these symbols. These are considered swastikas. In Japan, that's the green one there. In Spain, their version of the swastika. There may be a little change. It may be a little more rounder on the edges. It may be a little shorter on the edges. The Navajo tribe. All they added was some arrows. Think about that. The Navajo, prior to the Nazis, the Navajo tribes. Boom. With theirs. And I think, the Hopi, much older than the Nazis. In Islam, in Peru. Look at this. In Peru and in Islam. Really quick, I'm just harping on this to give you some examples of swastikas. Y'all see that? Okay. And the last two that I'm going to show is the Hopi and in Vietnam. These are swastikas. Just to become educated. Nothing to do with Hitler. Nothing to do with Nazis. Okay, all right. So to that point, when it comes to bringing up Kanye, putting up swastikas, we hear you to the pain of what your people have suffered under a man that stole the symbol. We get that. However, the symbol itself ain't got nothing to do with them. They stole it. So those people over there, they ain't got nothing to do with all of the original members of the human family all across the planet who've been using it for thousands of years. I just wanted to go ahead and put that in context. Again, I don't know how Kanye was using it, but I want to make sure we educated all of you so that you knew there's far more to those symbols than some Nazis. All right, let's get that clear. It's like saying, it's more lies, more historical lies that they are not speaking on. 14 minutes, he said there's anti-Israel rallies happening every week. Yes, we are going over why that is, because you're killing off Palestinians, you are injecting sterilizing chemicals and birth control into Ethiopian Jewish women. You're doing all kinds of horrific things to people in Israel, and Israel has been behind some of the most horrific policies that are anti-human policies, period. Yes, I understand why there are rallies against Israel and Zionists, people who support the Jewish state of Israel. Not support a safe place for you to have as a home, but support the horrible actions that you're committing. Simple as that. Let's continue at 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Again, remember when a person's trying to make themselves we are so important. We are important. This is what I mean. At 14 minutes and 20 seconds, Mr. Greenblatt, you said the Jews are the most hated and attacked religious group in America while being less than 2% of the population. Mr. Greenblatt, I'm not going to harp too long on this because that's just a blatant, outright lie. That's just not true at all. Not even close. Not only is it not true, it's actually very insulting to all of those who are victims more than you are victims, because you brought up a quantity. You brought up an amount. You said the most attacked. Okay, so that means you're attacked more than a lot of the Christians who most people in America identify as Christians who are attacked because of whatever reason. you're attacked more than Muslims, although there has not been an event that has quite literally put your entire group in America as target number one, enemy number one. Policies like the Patriot Act created just because of you. Lists of countries have been set up just because of you. 9/11 put Muslims on the number one most hated list. Don't get around them. Be afraid of them. They are devils. They're all going to blow you up. They're all evil. They're all going to Muslims. 9/11. After 9/11, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? If you want to go to people being persecuted and hated because of their religion and the number one most attacked, are you serious? Are you serious, Mr. Greenblatt? Word? People are attacked because of their religious beliefs, no matter what their religious beliefs are. It happens, and it's wrong, no matter what the person's religion is. But what I'm not going to do is get up there and say, you know what I'm saying? Look, members of the Nation of Islam are the number one most attacked group of people in America based upon, our religion, because that's not true, because people know we are with the business. If you attack one of us, if you attack us, we are not trained to say, oh my God, wars. No. We are trained to fight like hell with those who fight against us. If they are the aggressor, if you start a fight, if you physically attack me, I'm not going to pray for you. I'm going to respond to you and defend myself. So we couldn't qualify to be called the most physically attacked religious group. But when it comes to the most attacked character-wise, when it comes to the most attacked as it pertains to our very existence in media, in the way you manipulate certain kinds of film, and how you characterize us when it comes to the papers and different things like that, yes, we are the number one target of the ADL. When it comes to our image being attacked and our belief being attacked and our very existence being attacked, we are the number one target. That is a fact. Rizza, prove it. The ADL has called Minister Farrakhan the Black Hitler. I'm going to let y'all marinate on that just for a few seconds before I finish the rest of this nonsense. Y'all marinated enough on that? Y'all marinated enough on that? Okay. You have the audacity to, out of your mouth, call a black man who has never harmed your people, called for the attack of your people, called for the genocide of your people. He's not white. Hitler was white. I know you don't like people saying that, but he was a white man who also killed some of our people. Hitler was white. You're white. Hitler was white. He killed black people too in Auschwitz, in the Holocaust. Black folks were murdered there too. And you have the most disgusting, disrespectful, backhanded. That is disgusting. To call a black man who has helped to bring life and resurrect our people and help us, whether you agree with him or not, you have the audacity to call him a Hitler? Something's wrong with y'all. Deeply wrong with you. Like you are sick in the head. Something's deeply, disgustingly wrong with you. So, you're not the number one most attacked and hated religious group in America. That's not the fact. That is not factually correct at all. Next point. 15 minutes and 15 seconds. Synagogues have armed guards. Yes, but the Nation of Islam has always had guards. We've always had security because of our being attacked on a consistent basis, because we have been targeted. Period. That's just what it is. All right. And black folks too. But every religious group should be defended. You should have your own security. However you want to do it. That's fine. Cool. But I don't think you should be bragging like, do you know this is how much we're being hated? No, knock it off. Stop that. That's called transference. Where you're trying to make a person feel bad for you by exaggerating your feelings when it's not true. If you're being attacked, okay. But when you try to compare your being attacked to somebody else's being attacked, and you start to try to minimize everybody else and say, because we are the most, no, you got to stop that. Stop. You're not. If you're being attacked, just say you're being attacked and you deserve to be protected by your own people. Y'all deserve that. But knock this off because it's a lie. All right, let's continue. 15:50. I'm almost done, y'all. I know. I'm just running through it. At 15 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay. Greenblatt goes into Jew versus Jewish, an American Jew. He's an American Jew born here. His grandfather is a Holocaust survivor who fought in the war. And at 16 minutes and 45 seconds, Greenblatt says that his wife is an Iranian Jew and that she's specifically Persian. That's very interesting because of this relationship or the lack thereof between Iran and Israel. But your wife is an Iranian Jew who's Persian. So it's just interesting because of how much of a problem they make for us just saying something. You're married to an Iranian Jewish woman. And Iran and Israel, that whole tension there. I just found that interesting. Next point. 17 minutes and 50 seconds. Saying Jew is okay depending on the context. Charlemagne and then DJ Envy were asking, okay, so how can we say Jew? Is it okay to say it? Is it okay? To Charlemagne and brother DJ Envy, the one thing I really disliked, among many other things, but one thing I will say is stop being so slave-like. Stop doing this. It was embarrassing to watch two grown men talking away. Well, I just want to make sure I'm not. I don't want to do a Jewish. How do I? Can I? And I'm being real. All right. I'm saying, and I will say this to y'all in person as your brother. Please stop this. They are not God. I'll be damned if we go into 2023 and there's still some of our people talking like this. You can do that, but make sure you do that on your own time. But you need to stop this. Talking like I did. Stop. Yo, it disgusted me. The hell is wrong with you? Jonathan Greenblatt is a white man. And this is why I have to just cut it straight like this. I will never pander to a white person, ever. What is that? What is wrong with some of us? That sickness has to end. You have to stop it. There's nothing manly nor masculine about this. You got a show, but if you don't have respect, your show means nothing. If you got a whole lot of money, but you have no respect, your money means nothing. You have no respect from your people. It means nothing. Grow a damn backbone and stop being so damn soft, because our generation is watching you. And I'm going to tell you right now, you will not be spoken of well if you continue to bend over for them rather than at least just communicating like a man to a man. That's all. Just communicate. It's okay.